Welcome, Dr. G. I'm so excited to have you on the show. I was so looking forward to it. How are you today?
I'm real good, Connie, and I'm super happy to be here with you myself. Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. So to start with, please tell the audience where in the world are you located? And then the second question is, tell us something surprising about you that has nothing to do with what we're talking about afterwards.
Okay, so I'm in Thailand right now, folks, at the Maeon Mountains in Chiang Mai on my wife's property. I come over to her house here so I can do this podcast with the beautiful energy here. Something unusual about me. I'm a dancer and I'm a romantic,
Ah.
which is on the opposite side of my my military marshals background and then quantum physics. So I love a nice glass of wine, beautiful woman in my arms, and some nice music. And
Yeah, that's
I'm
beautiful.
quite at home. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And yeah, so I always like to ask this question because it kind of like gets the audience to get to know you a bit from a different side before we dive into the topic. And
Sure.
so we have a very special topic today. So on my podcast, we usually talk about clutter, but not just physical clutter, but like mental, emotional, and all kinds of clutter, which we probably touch today too. We may even touch some energetic clutter, right? What do you think?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
So one thing you're saying is that you're somebody who has experienced transformative power of rewiring your brain. So I would
Mm.
love to know a bit more about what you mean about rewiring the brain. And I may know what you mean, but we want to tell my audience. And also, like maybe you can tie it in with the experience you had so that we can get a picture of what we're talking about.
Oh, sure. That's easy. Okay, so when they talk about rewiring the brain, folks, your brain is an antenna system. In fact, your whole body is an extended antenna system. But the fundamental brain that we talk about in the cranium is a big antenna array. None of the thinking goes on inside the brain. They know that now. They use a machine, I believe it's called an electroencephalogram. It's very recent. And they found that all the thinking or your thoughts, they're outside of you. And you're outside of you. Your body and your brain and our physical self. If you've ever seen that movie, my favorite movie is Avatar. That's what you are. That's what we are. So
Mm-hmm.
you have the real self is out there somewhere, and it broadcasts a signal and experience so that it runs us, and we're sending information back. It's a feed backward system. Now, everyone's brain gets arrayed or tuned. So when there's talking about rewiring the brain, that's what we're talking about, is the arranging the tuning system so that you pick up specific kinds of information. Like Einstein, he picked up information from the infrared uh, strata, and that kind of information is high mathematical, high level science kinds of information. Debussy and Gershwin and Rimsky-Korsakov, the great composers, they're picking their antenna array picks up the information that allows them to compose that kind of music. Enormous. I used to be a cellist in an orchestra. You ever seen the size of an orchestra and all of the complexity? They download that. Each one of us has an antenna array, and the antenna array depends on a great many factors. There's like 10 major programs that are all involved there. And it largely is set at the moment of our conception. And then it's a matter of time goes by, and the antenna array grows and grows and grows. And the trick is the information that you pick up with your particular brain is qualified and altered by the subconscious data that we pick up. We absorb subconscious information at 40 million bits of information per second. Okay,
Crazy.
so while you're in mom's womb, you start recording 40 million bits of information per second, and you're taking it verbatim. And you continue to do that until you turn 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the age of 7, the frontal cortex, the thinking part of our brain, or what I call the educated brain, it turns on. Until 7, it's not on. Whether you think it is or it isn't, doesn't matter. It's not on. And what it's doing is it's absorbing mom and dad and all of the environment as a survival mechanism. So by the time you turn 7, if you do the math, it's about 10 quadrillion bits of information. And that is your fundamental software. Then the brain and the thinking and education and all your life process starts. And everything that comes in, everything the antenna's picking up, seeing, listening to through our senses, it's relayed back and forth to the information, the base information in the subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
Now that gives you your whole life. Who you marry, who you don't marry, how many kids you're going to have, how much money you're going to make, everything is there. And that's scientific, that's considered scientific fact now. So subconscious is running 95% of all your life. The frontal cortex is only active a maximum of 5% of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Now she asked me about rewiring. The antenna array can be completely rewired, completely. How do we do that? Well, you go into the subconscious and you remove negative or disempowering or self-sabotaging programs from that database. That's what I made depth healing. Depth healing is a special craft specifically designed to go into your subconscious, locate the negative program, the negative belief, and I can disintegrate it completely. It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
When it's gone, all of the antenna array rearranges. When it's rearranging, it's changing your perception. So if you used to think that you're a loser because mom and dad always told you that you were worthless, and I removed that, now your antenna array, it doesn't have that perception that you're worthless anymore. What happens? The perception gives you your vibration, your frequency. For instance, if your perception is the world is a horrible, dangerous, terrible place, that's your perception. So your vibration is depressed, scared, small, right? If your perception is the whole world belongs to you, you're a wonderful person, you're loved by everybody, and you're really rich. So that's your perception, gives you a vibration. So you're like the life of the party, and you're a big magnanimous person, and life is a big magnanimous place. Why does that happen? All things follow in the universe, as far as we humans go, 2 laws: perception and resonance. The subconscious mind gives you your perception. This doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because the ratio of power, this is 1, subconscious is 1 million. 1 to 1 million. That's the ratio. This makes no difference at all. That's why people make New Year's resolutions, and in a couple of weeks, couple of days, couple of months, gone. That's why people attend huge business seminars like guys like Tony Robbins, and they come out and man, they're like rah, and they've got it all written down, and it's all dead and gone in a couple of months, and then they have to go back to the next one. They come over and then it's all died. Why does that happen? That's called cognitive dissonance.
Mm-hmm.
In the they rah is here. It's got the power of one. In the back, there's a little belief system from dad or mom that says, you can never do that. Never. And that will always win because it has 1 million. So what I do, so that's the wiring. You can never do it. I want to do it. So I go in there and I remove the you can never do it. Now, all of a sudden, the subconscious endorses what you want to do. That's what happened to me. I've been studying 53 years. I attained a certain level of martial skill. I was one of the top 1% of Aikido masters in the entire Western Hemisphere. I have over 50,000 hours on the mats, so I had that. I've been a healer all my life, different types of healing. I've done advanced Sufism. I served the Mufti of Cyprus. I went through college. I became a big doctor, blah, blah, blah. I used to attend Tony Robbins, John Assaraf, Brendon Burchard, Bob Proctor. I know all their material forward and backward, but I could never make a dime. I could do all these things, but I never could make a dime. Why? My father was a tough, if you know who Charles Bronson is, he's like a Charles Bronson, tough Polak, was born from Polish immigrants during the Great Depression. He had pure lack consciousness. He always made money. He was a good, strong, hardworking man, electrician. But he was all his perception from growing up in the Great Depression, where if you had a little breadcrumb, you had food, starving. So I inherited and downloaded that from dad. And then when I failed grade 1 and dad and mom, everyone abandoned me emotionally because I was the humiliation of the family, I had the perception that I'm useless and all those different things. I downloaded all that because it broke my heart. And I'm just a little kid. I failed grade 1 at the age of 6. So I'm still in subconscious, pure subconscious strata. Going in age 7, I was unseen for the rest of my life in my family. So my wiring was like that. And the perception was money is very hard to have, very hard, difficult, and you got to work like a dog to get it. So I went into the factories. I worked labor, and then I was training to afford my training. Now, who did I pick as a sensei? Kushida. I served him for 26 years. I was his Uchideshi for 8. All Kushida ever taught me, I used to worship that guy. I was only 18, and I took everything he said emotionally and intellectually verbatim. And all he ever taught us was samurai spit on money. Money is under their feet. You only give money to women. Samurai men. And actually, as an older man, when I found out Kushida was a complete hypocrite, he was a liar. That's all he cared about was money. But we didn't know that. We were trusting him completely. So my wiring system was against money. So guess what? Universe has one word, only thing it's ever going to say to you. Okay. So when you believe you can't have money, or there isn't any money, or you can't afford it, universe will say, okay. And that's all you have. So what happened was I became a doctor. Later on in life, I served. I used to teach military, and I'm a real martial artist. And then I became a doctor. I went back to school in my 40s, and I became a licensed doctor. I graduated Texas. I was licensed in Georgia and Tennessee. And I met a great, great, great master doctor. I know many great master doctors, but I met Larry Habersky in Georgia, and I started to study under him and receive his care. He's a master of the quantum field. He started removing my cognitive dissonance. I never heard of cognitive dissonance till I met him. That was 2007. So I was thrilled. I used to go to see him at least once a week, sometimes 2-3 times a week. And he's removing and removing and removing and disassembling all of the negative programming I had around money. Meanwhile, in 2013, I was introduced to the great avatars, Sri Amma Bhagavan in India, and I started receiving Diksha. Diksha alters the brain. It completely alters the antenna array completely, and it strengthens the frontal cortex. So I was getting his, Dr. Albersky's care to get rid of the negative programming, and I was receiving Diksha on top of that. And all of a sudden, everything started to change. The next thing I knew, I never dreamed of doing this in my life. In 2014, I just spontaneously decided to move to Thailand. My wife wouldn't come. We ended up divorced. I came here and I was instantly able to establish wealth consciousness, which is a particular orientation. And now I'm in Thailand 8 years. For the last 3 or 4 years, as far as Thailand goes, I have a millionaire status. I serve people all over the entire world, right from here, because I use the quantum field. You can be on Pluto. Doesn't matter to me. Distance has no relevance of any kind whatsoever. And I operate. I'm a combination of advanced mystic understanding and wisdom and information, and cutting edge quantum science. And those two put together makes depth healing. So I change the array. It changes your perception. That gives you a different vibration. The vibration works on resonance. The whole universe, everything, when you look at your world, you're looking at yourself. That's all if you're in lousy relationships, that's you. That's your frequency. So the first thing to understand is that's you. No such thing as a victim. Victim, the very definition of victim in the universe is impossible, because everything is dependently arising, dependently ceasing. Think about that carefully. It's dependently arising, dependently ceasing. So you can't have a winner and a loser. Is impossible. You can't have a victim. None of that stuff. From a higher perspective, none of that stuff makes any sense at all. From a low perspective, if your view is, if you're laying on the ground and you're looking across the yard, you have one view. If you go to the balcony on the second floor, you have a different view. If you go way up to a top of a skyscraper and look at the yard, you'll have another view. That's the way everything is, folks. Did I answer the question?
I think so. It's amazingly interesting. But so I have so many questions. So when you say there is no victim and this doesn't really exist, but we're here kind of like on Earth, and everything is kind of like polarity and duality, right? So, but it's all like, what I understand is it's all like victim and the bad guy, they're on the same line. It's just two extremes of the same thing. But how, like on Earth, how do we get out of this? Because I understand we're on a lower vibration, so we would have to raise the vibration. Now you found a way, and I have all kinds of other questions, but
yeah,
let's start here.
Okay, so when you see, just so you know, a little bit more about me, because I don't want you to put me on any kind of a pedestal. That's all a bunch of nonsense. I lived dirt poor for over 20 years. I lived in a state of rage. I was in so much rage, I broke my back in half in a weight room when I was 27. I developed breast cancer. They had to cut that out of it. That was all from anger. I was dirt poor. If it hadn't been for my wife back in Georgia, I would have been living in a tent because I couldn't make any money. Didn't matter what my skill sets were.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want you to understand, I know the hard side of life. I also am a martial specialist, and I was a bouncer in Detroit in Canada, both sides of the border. And I know the rough side of the tracks. I grew up working labor. And so I want you to understand, I'm not just a guy that sits in a classroom and smells flowers all day. I'm a man. Now, you go, let's say you go somewhere and there's a dangerous person that comes up and they're going to rob you or rape you or something like that. That's resonance in action.
Mm-hmm.
So you have, I have thousands of ladies that I've helped from real dysfunctional relationships. They meet men that hurt them verbally, or they hurt them physically, or just all kinds of terrible stuff. Inevitably, in their field, I call their field, when they were children, is almost always sexual abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And that experience, that's in their frequency, that's in their vibration field.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they meet these losers.
They're
If we
attracting them
remove
almost,
that,
right?
they're virtually, yeah. Resonance means if this thing if is vibrating at 10, let's say 10 is rape. Here comes Mr. Rape.
Mm.
If this guy is a wonderful, loving, kind gentleman, and she's got rape in her field, he doesn't find her, and she
Mm-hmm.
doesn't find him.
Mm-hmm.
So the when I was real angry, I was I was attracting all kinds of stuff to be angry about.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the stuff that comes that makes me angry, it seems to validate intellectually why I can be angry.
Yeah.
And that's life, folks, when you're in the real world. So what do? You raise your consciousness. How do you raise the consciousness? Number one on the charts. You know, I always get a big charge on the healing scene or on the motivation scene, and they'll say, just change the way you look at that. Never. If that was that easy, folks,
Yeah.
everybody that goes to those seminars would all be a millionaire by now, and everybody would be healed, and there wouldn't be any cancer. That's all nonsense. Remember the 1,000,000 to 1 ratio.
Mm-hmm.
That is a fact. I don't care if you say affirmations from now till hell freezes over. I know, because I did all of that for
Mm-hmm.
20 years, and nothing ever happened until I got rid of the cognitive dissonance. You got to go into the subconscious and change the program. Now, when you change those programs, your consciousness rises.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't stay down.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't like you remove negative beliefs and you stay where you are. Oh no.
Yeah.
No. When you, every time, if you see me for a session, every single time I remove something, I insert something, so that and your field, the client's field, has to tell me what to do, not me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just a channel. I'm all I am is a relay station. So your system tells me where the negatives are. I remove them. Then your system tells me, what do I need in place of that? Every
Mm-hmm.
time it goes in place, your consciousness is rising.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as Dr. Bruce Lipton has shown, once consciousness reaches a certain height, environmental toxins no longer affect you.
Mm-hmm.
Think of what that means. Environmental toxins, air pollution, it doesn't affect you anymore, because
Mm-hmm.
consciousness rises. That's one. The other thing is, as your consciousness rises, you it means your frequency's higher. Life becomes joyful and beautiful, and your experiences, because you're a higher vibe, more nicer experience come. And you can raise consciousness indefinitely. There is no limit to that.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead.
I'm just quickly want to ask, so can I do this myself, or do I need somebody like you or like your mentors and your teachers?
It's a good question. You can do a little tiny bit yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Here's why. Subconscious strata is all invisible.
Mm-hmm.
It's the subconscious, which goes into the unconscious, which is continuous with the collective unconscious. You can look at it till hell freezes over. You got to have a even if you locate it, what are you going to do to eliminate it?
Mm.
Meditation will not do it. Meditation, folks, is great. I have over 40 something 46 years of Japanese experience. I have my empowerments through India and Tibet, and then I studied Zen for my whole life. I'm a professional swordsman, like you see in the movie The Last Samurai. That's my world. So I study that. I'm very familiar with that very, very much. But here's the trick. You'll never do nothing. People, you can meditate forever. People go into Vipassana. We call Vipassana or Zen, I call it a consciousness model. So here's the trick. The consciousness model wants you to first disidentify with mind. Remember I told you mind isn't yours?
Mm-hmm.
It's a field, and it picked up through the antenna array. So when you go to a meditation, they'll always tell you, sit still and just watch thoughts come and go. The reason they say that is that's what they're doing. They're coming and they're going.
Mm-hmm.
They come in here, they go out at the back, at
Mm-hmm.
the base of the occiput. So what happens is they're trying to still their mind. You cannot still the mind. You can be unplugged from the mind. That's what Diksha does. Diksha is specifically designed to unplug you eventually from mind. What is that term? That's called enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
That's different. So we'll leave that to the other side. So here you are, you're trying to meditate. Do you know why people go to retreats and monasteries? Because they need a specialized environment that's very, very, very bland,
Mm-hmm.
so that distractions don't come. So let's say you go to a 10-day Vipassana retreat. That's not easy. It's very, very good. It's very hard. But when they leave there and they re-enter, the moment they get in their car, the moment they look at a computer or their phone, all of the subconscious strata is reactivated,
Mm-hmm.
because the environment is a trillion, quadrillion times greater than you are. Now, that's why you'll hear Joe Dispenza always says, if you can make your intention and your feeling greater than the environment, and if you can make it the most important and absolutely real, and there's a lot of ifs. If you can dedicate a few hours every single day, and you have really good attention span, like longer than a few seconds or longer than several minutes, and you can really actually do the intensity, yes, you can change a great many things. But I healed my back in 12 weeks when it was broken in half using meditation. But how was I able to do that? I was crippled. So I'm laying on the floor every day,
Mm-hmm.
facing having my back fused and my career gone. So I had a lot of motivation. I have nowhere to go. Mom is feeding me. I have a roof over my head. I lived at home. I have no worries or
Mm-hmm.
responsibility. So for 4 hours every day, I programmed my subconscious mind to fix my back, and it fixed it. That was validated by CAT scans at Providence Hospital in Michigan. But I had 4 hours every day to do it.
Yeah.
And all my other needs were taken care of. How many hours a day can you dedicate to med? So when you come to someone like myself, I do it for you.
Yes.
You come in to see me in condition A, and 2 hours later you leave in condition B.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the difference.
So
Did
what
I
I'm
answer
hearing
that
you
question?
what I'm hearing you say is then, like, you just talked about how you healed yourself. I know I heard Joe Dispenza say he healed himself. I think he had a
That's
broken
right.
back or something as well. You
Yes.
talked about Brendon Burchard, which I believe he had an accident, and I don't know whether Dad had
It was a
some
car
download.
accident.
So the people who were able to do it, they had special situations in their life that us regular folks, just let's say like that, don't necessarily have, and that's why we can't do it ourselves unless we would try to create or create these environments, which is hard, where you have actually 4 hours a day to focus on fixing your back, or whatever you want.
That's right. Like when Joe, I think Joe was 20 or 21 or 22, he got run over by a truck,
Yeah.
and the spine was crushed, and some of the bone fragments, in his case, bone fragments got embedded right into the cord. And he refused medical procedures, which is great. He went to his friend's house. He's laying in bed. He's got nothing else to do. And then he saw a book by Ramtha, and it started explaining to him about subconscious mind and our innate power. So all he did all day long, he's a Gonstead chiropractor. I'm a network chiropractor. Very, 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 very different. So Gonstead are like structural engineers. And what he did was he did the meditations all day, every day, reconstructing the spine. In my case, I use Maxwell Maltz's, if you ever heard of psychocybernetics. I got my back adjusted, and then I just programmed all day, every day, an image of myself in top shape. The way the subconscious works, folks, this is why you can never beat the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind has one big job: to make sure your body, your life, your behavior, your voice, everything matches the program in the subconscious mind. So when you're going to heal your body, if you can put a picture, a real strong, clear picture in the subconscious that you're in top shape, that your body is perfect, then it's going to match that with your broken body or your cancer-filled body. And the cancer-filled body or the broken back doesn't match the picture. So the subconscious will use whatever amount of energy necessary. It can draw on the entire universe because it's continuous with it. It'll draw on whatever it has to do to make you match that picture. That's how it works.
Yeah.
All I'm trying to say is, if you actually, what you hear about when you watch YouTube or whatever is the guys that were able to achieve it. But what you don't hear about is the thousands and thousands that can never do it. What I did with depth healing is I just do it for you. And it works like that.
Yeah.
That's why I am who I am, and that's what I do.
Yeah.
And it's very, very important. You don't require, you can just sit in your easy chair and everything just changes because it's not easy. It's possible, but now there are certain really good practices that are easy and that have validated evidence, and that's something like heart math. Heart math is ingenious, super simple. Any Anybody, anywhere can do it immediately. It only takes 5 minutes. It gives you 4 to 6 hours of sustained state. Basically, all it is, it was developed by a doctor named Sarah Childrey about 30 years ago. If you go on Google and just put in the Heart Math Institute, Roland McCready is the director of research there. All of the research is available. It's free. And all you do with heart math is put your attention into your heart and imagine that it's doing the breathing. And once you're there for 5 minutes, you pick someone or something that makes it easy for you to experience and generate feelings of love or gratitude for 5 continuous minutes. And during that time, because that's an energy model now, see, it's not a consciousness model like Vipassana. So what happens is it's easy to feel. All I do, I just picture holding my beautiful wife, Oi, in my arms, and I can feel her loving me and me loving her. You do that for 5 minutes, put a smile on your face. So all the endorphins, all of that starts to pour right away as soon as you smile. And within 5 minutes, here's what's going to happen. Cortisol will drop 45%. DHEA will rise 45%. Secretory IgA in your mouth, first line of defense for your immune system, can go up as high as 294%. The brain and the cranium will synchronize to your heart variability rhythm, and the parasympathetic, sympathetic nervous system's in train. Now that is power. That's called coherence. That will sustain for 4 to 6 hours from 5 minutes. That will not change your subconscious mind, but it will give you a beautiful high state. You'll have greater emotional control. And because you're in that state, you will be attracting a good experience, a good life for yourself.
And you don't sabotage it then with your subconscious?
All that happens, the way the subconscious would sabotage it is, let's say you do your 5 minutes and you're in a beautiful state, you drive to work, and there's someone or something occurs there that triggers a program that's in the subconscious. So when you do heart math, if you think of strata, like let's say you've got this glass. So when you do heart math, you go down, here's the bottom, subconscious. So you're up here as an overlay. And it gives you a lot of coping ability.
Okay.
And it improves all of your health and it improves your perceptions. But you get something happens and it's a strong trigger. And a program activates down here, that program will override this.
Yeah. Okay. And so when, let's say now somebody is intrigued and they want to book a session or possibly needs more than one, how would that look? Like, because, it, as amazing as it sounds, I could imagine that some people find it a little scary, you messing with their wiring or whatever.
Well,
but just like tell me, like, so they would talk with you over Zoom or over the telephone or however, and then how would that look? Just that people can get an idea how that would look.
Yeah. So all you do with me, folks, you go to my website so you can get a hold of me. It's just depthhealing.org, and I do everything for you myself. I have one very good admin. He handles the technical stuff for me. And what we do is we book you a session. My sessions take 2 hours. And for the first hour, we talk. And all I'm doing is finding out how I can help you. What's going on? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to find out why it's going on. And then I'm going to remove it for you in the second hour. And if you have a big complicated case, let's say you're karmically everything, it's a big one. And many of them are, eh? So you always want to figure on, say, 5 sessions if I want to really make a big change. We don't want to, your subconscious in your life's like a big ocean. You don't want to walk up with one session, it's like slap in the water, bam, and it makes some waves and then it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
What we want to do is we want to make some real change. And since everything is interconnected, on session 1, I'm going to make a lot of changes for you. And you'll feel really great. You'll see results when I do the work immediately, because everything happens in real time. And then it cascades. All positive. Now sometimes, let's say I have 2 people right now. They got a session, and it's like peeling an onion, right? And when I opened up the one layer, everything felt great for a day or so, and then other things showed up. That's good. We can't clear it if we can't find it, right? So when something comes up, I clear that. If another thing comes up, we clear that. This is a process, folks. Everything is a process. There's no such thing as an event. No such thing as a thing. So you don't just get healed and everything's gone. Life is a process. Think of sperm entering an egg in mom and the process that created you inside her womb. Then think of the process when the baby is being born, when you're being born. And then you go from inside her womb into this air environment. And all these little senses are turning on, and that's everything is a process. So the best way to use me is get you, say, 5 sessions, get yourself really turned around so things start to clear right up, whether it's business, whether it's health. It doesn't make any difference to me what it is. I handle, depth healing is designed to handle anything. And then, it's a good idea to, if you're wise, see me once a month and keep everything, because as you're going through life, you may have noticed things in the world are moving rapidly. And there's a hell of a lot of adversity and change and uncertainty, and having depth healing in your pocket is a real asset.
Yeah, I can see that. I can totally see that. So last question before we wrap up. Is there anything I didn't ask you, Dr. G, that you think I should, and should is not a nice word, but let's say that I needed to ask you to complete this conversation?
Now that's a question I've never been asked before.
There might be something bubbling up that you think like that still needs to be said, but maybe not. Maybe I was so good and asked you all the questions.
Oh, you're great. And that's always been one of the problems with me is that's just like me writing a book or something. It's always the problem is I need the question and then it prompts me and the file opens and away I go. But when you just leave it open-ended like that, I don't know what to say.
Nope, that's fine. Then I asked good questions.
Oh, they're excellent. Yeah. I hope I answered them okay.
I think so. Like I think you answered them in a way that, at least for me, it makes me hungry for more information, but then I have a hungry mind. So
yeah, good for you.
Yeah,
me too.
And we will put your website link in the show notes so people can reach out to you. So I was really honored to have you here to hear this, because I'm very interested in these how would we want to call it, systems or modalities or whatever, that are coming more and more, I think, into our consciousness, right? And
I know what I could tell you.
Okay.
Is this, okay? One of the ways to try to see your subconscious mind or your programming is take a look at your life. And what I recommend you do is you sit down with a pen and paper, use blue ink, and you write down the divisions of your life, okay? So you have like your home, your work, your relationships or significant other, your health, hobbies, or whatever. You put all the divisions, everyone you can think of. Then you take the time to actually look at it. And when you look at it, like when you look at your home, Connie's a specialist of clutter. Does your home make you feel good or make you feel depressed or make you feel stressed? That's you. So what you want to do is make each division of your life. See, first of all, who are the people in your life? Do you really love them? Do you really respect them? Do you feel supported by them? How much money are you making? Is it really hard for you to make money? Our ability to make money and receive money is linked to our father and our father's line, ancestor line. If life is difficult and always has hassles, that's linked to your mother and your mother's line.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way the universe is structured. That can all be changed. But the first thing to know is, what does your world actually look like? And then realize that's you. Now, if it's stuck, if you can't make money, or you can't find a lover, or you can't get healthy, that means there's a cognitive dissonance, especially if you're educated, but it doesn't seem to matter. Nothing works. You always get stuck, or you get stopped, or you have a financial ceiling as an entrepreneur. Those are programs.
Mm-hmm.
Once you know where they are, then you just call me and I'll get rid of them for you. Or you can try to take the value system approach. You for each area of your life, write out your values. 5, the most important values for that area of your life. And then you start making that area of your life congruent with your values.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't know your values, you have no basis for decisions.
Yeah.
And if you're not living, if your life is not equal to your values, you're living in compromise.
Mm-hmm.
And no one likes to live in compromise.
Mm-hmm.
If you do these kinds of things, then you will literally be like me. I'm the living example of what I teach, because I lived a hell of a hard life for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And now I live a life looks like a fairy tale.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. So I just want you to know that that's one way to try to see yourself, is to look out and reflect it back to you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. I think this is a good place where they can start, and then they can come to you for clearing it, which sounds really amazing. So
yeah, and by all means, do the meditations and think. It's not that I'm never putting any of it down. I just want you to understand the reality, because one thing that always bothers me and always used to frustrate why I was so filled with anger is they make it sound so easy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it isn't. And you do this and you do that, and you go to this seminar and that seminar and you do that, and you're still 10 years later, you're in the same place you were. Why? That's why I built depth healing, to answer that question, because it's very disappointing and it's very frustrating, and in some cases it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And that's why I strongly dislike not telling the whole truth.
Mm-hmm.
People deserve to know the truth,
Mm-hmm.
the whole picture, not just sugarcoating things so I make some money, and then they go away, nothing works.
Yeah. Yeah.
I dislike that tremendously.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of people that make a lot of money with those promises.
Yeah, millions of,
Yeah.
but like I say, I was on the other side of that, and I mean, I have notes from business seminars. Like I say, I know every word, but none of it worked for me because I didn't know about cognitive dissonance till I met Larry Habursky.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, I could talk with you forever, but we should be mindful of the audience, and I want to be mindful of your day. You have a beautiful day ahead of you. So thank you so much, Dr. T, for being on my podcast and for sharing your findings, your experiences, and your wisdom with us. I'm very honored. Thank you so much.
Helped. I'm honored too. And for all of you, God bless you all wherever you are.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.